we recording?
Yeah, we are. We are.
Okay, great.
So we think we know what the SELs are. See the video in the comments. Today, let's talk about the myths of the SELs.
You mean those scary things they're not?
Yes, the
Those-
things they're not.
The Bigfoot of the myth world?
Yes.
All right.
My name's Noelle Hoffmeister.
And I'm Kathy D'Alessandro.
We're with Get Up and Teach here talking about how emotions and education go together. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so every Wednesday you get a great video to chew on about your teaching craft. Myth number one of the SELs is it's not an add-on.
So I would like to speak on that.
Please speak on that.
I
Kat.
shall. All right. So I have had the great fortune of teaching for 20 plus years, and I've taught every grade from K all the way up through 8th grade, not including grades 2 and 3. So I've been given the privilege of teaching lots of developmental ages. When I say it's not an add-on, and I bring up why I've taught for a long time, is that when I first started teaching character education, like that canned package was, and I was teaching in the city, and I literally had worksheets about how to share. And not that a worksheet is bad. Got it?
Yes.
I'm not saying a worksheet is
Please
bad.
don't send hate mail.
Yeah. It's not that it's bad, but it's out of context. And it's an add-on. And I think what we have learned as we are researching more about how the brain learns and learning theory and all that we're doing, we're getting smarter at our craft. Continue to read, teachers, continue to read. It can't be an add-on, it has to be integrated authentically through dialogue and almost setting up situations in your classroom through ELA, through math, or whatever.
So what you're saying is if I'm a teacher and I go through my whole teaching day and then all of a sudden I'm like, it's SEL time.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that I talk about SELs or refer to SELs or do anything with SELs, it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, kids are very smart and they can pick up on when something smells a little funky.
And let us add that if you have a packaged SEL program, that's not the enemy. That's not a bad thing. The enemy is only teaching it for that portion of the day. You, the professional, we, the professionals, are responsible for figuring out how to weave it into our day. We're going to recess, weave it in. We're going to learn math, weave it in. It's the end of the day and we're getting our things together and we got to remember what we have from, weave it in. It goes in every area of our life.
All right, myth number 2. It doesn't impact academics.
Oh.
So SELs don't impact academics. Why? Why should I spend some time on that in the classroom?
Because when we first started teaching, we thought feelings and learning were two separate things, right? How could they possibly go together? But what neuroscientists have figured out is that every stimuli that we get in the brain, no matter what it is, goes through a loop in the brain and hits something called the amygdala. And the amygdala is responsible for emotions. So every math fact, every vocabulary word, everything goes through the amygdala and gets an emotion. Therefore, hence and whereas, emotions and learning are intertwined. And the third myth of the SELs
Is
they are just a greeting at the door. Kath, would you speak to that?
well, I will start, but please join in at any time.
Of course I will.
So I think a greeting at the door is important. And I think how was the weekend is important.
It is.
And there's a birthday coming up, and I think all that's important.
It is.
I think the greeting at the door, Dr. Harry Wong, First 100 Days, I've read it a handful of times. I still read it every now and again. I think you're creating a culture. I think you're creating structure and order, and I think that is important. And I do believe that's loving to have that. But it's more than just saying, hey, did you win your soccer game? I checked my box. I did my SEL connection today.
Gotcha.
That's
so you're
really
forming a
what
relationship, but forming a relationship isn't SELs.
Yeah. We're, as teachers, we like to create relationships, but that is not going to ever get past just the, hey, your students will go, yeah, my teacher is the nicest person.
So if you're the teacher and I'm the student, I'll feel loved by you.
Yes.
And I'll feel known by you.
And that's
I'll
important.
feel comfortable with you. And those are really important things.
Absolutely.
But then when I leave your classroom, you're not building any independence in me because I'm dependent on you to love me and know me for me to feel comfortable.
The other reality with that is they become dependent on being next to the nice and not willing to step out, because that's not real learning. Someone just holding your hand, or that's not real life, business, work, community work, family work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes there is this uncomfortableness, but when you connect with someone on a heart level, you feel you have the power to go out and then do the hard thing.
Right. But that's the goal, is that me as the student would gain knowledge and skill and insight from you so that I am able to go out instead of huddling next to you.
Because you're so loving and nice.
Right.
And then that is important, but what we're saying is it's not simply the greeting at the door.
Correct.
There is more to it than running a smooth class.
Thanks for joining us today as we thought about education and emotions and how they come together. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. We'll see you next time.